Can you hear me? First thing I do is take my collar off because I can't talk to this thing. So it's an honor to have Dr. Mashelkar with us. He needs no introduction, but I'll give you a short introduction anyway because it's important to share what he has done and the way he has influenced India's science policy and science administration. He was a member of the Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister and also of the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet set up by successive governments. He is the former Director General of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, which is the world's largest chain of publicly funded industrial R&D institutions with 38 laboratories and over 20,000 people. He has made several contributions in the area of chemical engineering and chemistry. I'm proud to say that he's a chemical engineer from UTCD Bombay. There are very few of us in this room who are chemical engineers. I'm happy to see that. I had a long introduction for him. I showed it to him. He said, please cut it down drastically. So that's what I'm doing. What would be of interest to you is that he spearheaded the challenge of the successful revocation of the US patent on turmeric. How many of you remember that the US had tried to patent haldi, turmeric? So Dr. Mashelkar led that challenge that you cannot patent that, and they won the challenge. They also won the challenge to revoke the patent on basmati rice. This you must have heard of this, right? So this is one of the very few things that he has done. Dr. Mashelkar is currently the president of Global Research Alliance, a network of publicly funded research and development institutes across Asia Pacific, South Africa, Europe, and US, with over 60,000 scientists. He is also the chairperson of India's National Innovation Foundation, and we had some very interesting discussion about how BMU could gain from what they are doing on the way here. He is also the first chairperson of the Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research set up through CSIR, called CSIR. He is on the board of several reputed companies, Tata Motors, Hindustan Lever, ICICI, KPIT, the list goes on. He is on the Scientific Advisory Board of Microsoft. But I am most proud to announce, and you already know, that he is on the advisory board of BMU, last but not least. He has been honored with the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, the Padma Vibhushan, the 26 honorary doctorates. He is a fellow of the Royal Society of London, only the third Indian engineer since in the 20th century to have been so honored. Let me just read out something from a foundation that he has set up. Anjani Mashelkar, Dr. Arya Mashelkar's mother, brought him up facing all the odds that a poor, widowed, uneducated mother moving to Mumbai with her only child, he was 6 years old at that time, all the odds that she would face. She did this with courage and dignity. Her own circumstances never brought her down. She always expressed concern about the underprivileged people around her and wanted her son to do something about it. The Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award fulfilled this wish, and he is yet another expression of Dr. Mashelkar's wide-ranging influence. So without further ado, Dr. Mashelkar.
For those wonderful warm words, and it's so wonderful to be amongst you. You know, somebody has said that I only think of the future because that is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. And it's wonderful to see the future of India right here and to be with you. It's a very special morning in my life, and thank you very much for making it happen. You know, the dream of creating a world-class university is something my good friend Sunil Munjal has been talking to me for a number of years. And to see it actually happen, and I'm visiting for the first time, and this will not be the last time, I'll come again, is so fantastic. How do we build institutions? There are two things that are very important: ambition and ambience. And I can quite clearly see the ambience is already being built here. But we must recognize that ambition without ambience is of no consequence. Ambience without ambition is no consequence. And we must have both. And on the way as we are driving and as we are sharing the dream of what this university could be, I'm quite sure the ambience and ambition are going to be matched. And I can well see 25 years down the line when I am not around what this university would be. So let me begin by giving my very, very best wishes to you. We talked about future, isn't it? I want to get back to it. You know, recently, it's about 6 to 7 months ago, there was a discussion among the scientific community about what would be the most powerful equation that science has ever laid out. So the dialogue started, and one of them said it is F equal to ma, Newton, force equal to mass into acceleration. All of you know that, isn't it? You do? Great. Somebody said, no, not Newton's. It is Einstein. E equal to mc square. You know, E is energy, m is mass, and c is velocity of light. You know that too. E equal to mc square, isn't it? So it went on for some time. And I was keeping quiet in a corner. And then somebody turned to me and said, but you have not said anything. Which do you think is the most powerful equation ever? And I remember responding, none of the above. So he said, what do you mean? Not Newton, not Einstein? I said, no, none of the above. To me, the most powerful equation is E equal to F. So they wondered what was E, what was F. So I said, E is education, and that is equal to F, that is future. Education is future. And that's what we are building. We are building the future, isn't it? Now you would say you are a scientist. If you propose an equation, you must prove it, isn't it? You can't just get away by saying E equal to F. So here is a proof, one of the proofs I'll give you. And that proof came about on 11 October 2011. Very powerful proof. You know what was that? There is what is called as an American Academy of Arts and Science. It was established in the year 1780. And to get elected to that academy is considered as one of the rarest of honors that one can have. Right from Winston Churchill to Charles Darwin, from Nelson Mandela to Einstein, there have been people who have got elected to that. There are more than 200 Nobel laureates, Pulitzer Prize winners, etc. have been elected as members. So you might say, how many Indians have been elected from 1780? Only 7. And the interesting part was, the 6th and the 7th Indian signed in that book where everybody else is signed in a ceremony in Washington on that day. You know who are the 6th? The 6th was Ratan Tata. Okay, and you know all Ratan. And interestingly, the 7th person who signed in that book is standing before you. That was me. say it is a proof of E equal to F, you would say, how come that is the proof? Well, it turned out that we signed on the same page of the book, one after the other. And I remember, and already a mention was made about it, the circumstances under which I was born in this poor family. My mother coming to Bombay in search of jobs, she was an illiterate lady. 2 meals a day was a challenge. I had studied under street lights. I walked barefoot until I was 12. And after my SSC, which was 11th standard by that time, by the way, it was not like 10th and 12th as it is now. I had stood 11th among 135,000 schools in the state. And despite that, I was going to leave my education. And it was Sir Gaurav Tata Trust, which gave me 60 rupees per month for 6 years, which made my education possible. Otherwise, I would have left education and I would have taken up a job. So I used to go to Bombay House, where the headquarters of Tata's is located, to collect that 60 rupees. And if somebody had told me in 1960 that 50 years down the line, the head of the Tata family and you will sign in the same book on the same page, one after the other, receiving one of the highest honors in the world, I would not have believed it. But all that became possible because of the power of the equation E equal to F. Education equal to future, because that scholarship gave me access to that education. And of course, mere education is not enough. There has to be an opportunity. There were opportunities that came from it. The reason I want to emphasize this is that your being here in the university, your learning, your getting educated is building not only your future, your family's future, your children's future, your nation's future. So I think this is something that's a very noble job that this university is doing. Let me come to the topic on which I'm going to speak. My topic today that I've chosen is reinventing India as an innovation nation. Innovation is going to be the key to prosperity, to growth, to competitiveness, and so on. President Obama had famously said that education and innovation are going to be the currencies of the 21st century. I would go a step forward and say that innovation in education and education in innovation are going to be the keys for the 21st century. And therefore you will find a lot of emphasis around the world in building, let's say, next generation universities, and I'm sure this is going to be one, where there is an emphasis on innovation in education and education in innovation. If you look at educational institutions, normally they get restricted to education, okay? But we must understand that teaching without research is sterile. And therefore all great institutions you will find they combine education and research. India is doing that. For example, we used to have in Bangalore Indian Institute of Science, right? Now the new institutes that have come up are Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. The two are combined. That's wonderful. But that's not enough. It has to be education, research and innovation. Education disseminates known knowledge. Research creates new knowledge. And innovation converts knowledge into wealth. Get the point? So all three have to be linked. In India, unfortunately, they have been segregated. And I was very happy to see this dream of integrating this in this institution. The famous university, like no matter who does the ranking, Harvard University is always at the top. And why so? From 2007, for the last 8 years, of the 7 years, I've been spending October in Harvard University as a distinguished visiting professor. And one of my compatriots, one of my collaborators, is George Whitesides. He's a genius. He's the highest cited scientist in the world, by the way. All right, with the H index, which is even higher than our, 50% higher than our Bharat Ratna, Professor C.N.R. Rao, who is our best scientist, #1 scientist. So you can see where he is. But at the same time, the market cap of the company that he has produced, based on the research that he has done in Harvard, can you imagine what must it be? Close to $30 billion. Now in India, this is one of the big challenges, We do Saraswati Puja differently, on a different day. We do Lakshmi Puja differently. We don't link Saraswati to Lakshmi, And here you can see a brilliant example of connecting Saraswati to Lakshmi. And therefore the future universities are ones where you not only excel, right, in terms of your academics, but also you will create wealth, not only for yourself, but for creating greater social good. And this is going to be the future. And how do we effectively do that is going to be sort of the major challenge. People, by the way, call me a dangerous optimist. I have already developed that reputation. And I have been over a period of time. I'm very hot on India. Not now. I've been right from the time I was born. And you might say, what is so special about it? I'll explain that to you. If you look at different countries at different points in history, and look at the fundamentals on how they grew, what were the factors which made them grow? They were different. For example, for United States of America, it was roads and railways that spurred the economic growth. Right? For Britain, it was textiles. For Sweden, it was timber and timber products. For Denmark, it was milk and milk products. For Middle East, it was oil. And if people ask me, what is the oil for India? I would say it is IT. Now the moment I say IT, you would say, oh, it must be information technology. No, sorry. To me, IT is Indian talent. That is all of it. And therefore the role of this university becomes even more important, because this fundamental factor, building Indian talent, I think is going to be the key for the future of this country. And you would again say, come on, you are a scientist, prove it to us. Well, I don't have to go very far than just by telling you that I was looking at some statistics just 5 years ago. And can you believe it? 0.065% of India's population then generated 1/3 of our exports in terms of software and software services. And the average age was 26.5. 0.065%. That is the power of Indian talent. And therefore, this particular opportunity for growing Indian talent and then giving that talent an opportunity to grow, both factors are very, very important, is going to be the key. Now, how would India not only use this talent, but retain this talent, isn't it? Because one of our favorite complaints is brain drain, isn't it? The best of students, they go away and so on and so forth. Well, true. I mean, IITs, for example, I used to see 200,000 students appearing for the exam, 2,000 getting in, 1 in 100. Now, of course, that number is more. And practically all of them going away. So we used to screen the best and say to the best, these are our best, and people used to sort of move away. So then how do we solve that puzzle or problem? And do you know how critical this talent is? There is what is called as a Lotka's law. Has anyone here, have you heard about Lotka's law? L-O-T-K-A? If not, I'll explain that to you. You know, there is this issue about finding out how the best of talent actually derives the greatest intellectual power and intellectual energy for a community or for a nation. So in 1926, there's a fellow called Lotka. He was an insurance agent, by the way. He did an interesting study that out of, if there were supposing 100 researchers who wrote one research paper each, how many will have the capacity to write 2? The answer was 25. How many will write 4? The answer was 6. And how many will write 10? The answer was 1. Okay? And it turned out that he created what is called as the inverse square productivity law on a semi-logarithmic scale. It was 100 by n square. N is the number. So for 100 by n, n is 1, 100 by 1 is 100. N is 2, 100 by 2 square, 25, and so on. What does it tell you? That in a community which has the intellectual caliber to produce one research paper each, 100 people, there is only one who has the capacity to do that. Common sense wise, what it tells you is that 1% of the population carries 90% of the intellectual energy. Alright? So one Edison, one Newton, one Einstein, one Faraday, you get my point, and so on and so forth. And you lose that, and you lose everything. And that is where America has been drawing the best of our talent, isn't it? They have grown on the basis of the very best of the talent from around the world. The challenge now is the following, and it comes up again from an anecdote. I've been chairing India's National Innovation Foundation from 2000. And I remember we were trying to select a Chief Innovation Officer. And I was chairing that committee and the CVs came in front of us. And one of the CVs I saw, and he said, I'm an expert in branding. I said, great. I said, can you brand my India for me? So he was puzzled because he had branded a soap, he had branded a refrigerator, he had branded a car. How do you brand a country? So I said, I'll help you. America brands itself as a land of opportunity. How do you brand India? And you know what was the instant response? Oh, India is a land of ideas. Now here is a good news and here is a bad news. India is a land of ideas, but America is a land of opportunity. That is why young people move there. So the challenge therefore is that how do you make India as a land of opportunity? Is that happening? And I dare say it is happening. And I'm able to see that. During the last year itself, NASSCOM data shows that close to 30,000 scientists, engineers and technologists have returned to the country. You know, the number of IITians who used to go abroad, for example, has sharply dropped because there are opportunities that have opened up in India. Look at research, for example. More than 800 multinational companies have set up their R&D centers in India. The biggest is Cisco, more than 20,000 by the way. General Electric, Welch R&D center is around 5,000. No? So there are not few hundreds, there are thousands and so on. And I'm finding that a lot of young people are now returning to these companies, and having returned there, when they see opportunities in the other companies and other institutions, they're moving there. So it is like brain drain, yes, we used to have that. then brain gain because they are coming, and then brain circulation. Alright? And I'm quite sure this university will take advantage of this fact of this particular diversity. There are opportunities that are coming up because there is a massive expansion of Indian education system. 30 new central universities, 5 new Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, 7 new IITs, 20 new triple ITs, and so many new IIMs and so on and so forth, etc. So that also is, I mean, I used to chair 2 Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Mohali as well as Kolkata. We had no difficulty at all in attracting young people from Stanford, from Caltech, from Princeton, from Cambridge. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. But what is happening, and I want to paint that picture before you, because you will not be even aware of what was the situation under which some of us grew. I remember I came back in the year 1976, 15 November to be precise, on a princely salary of 2,100 rupees per month, by the way, at that time. And it was not, I came back for the physical income, it was psychic income of coming here and setting up something new, which I did, setting up polymer science and engineering that didn't exist in the country. And I remember the hardships at that time. 20K was a big memory, for example. You know? And today, I can go to Pune, Senapati Babat Road and buy 2 teraflops desktop supercomputer for 2 lakh. It is almost like 1 supercomputer per person. And you remember the hardship that we had in creating our own supercomputer. I was a member of Science Advisory Committee to the Prime Minister in Rajiv Gandhi's time. I remember in mid-80s, when supercomputer was denied to us, by the way. And I remember Rajiv Gandhi, he was a youthful Prime Minister, asking us, well, we are a poor country, but we must be good at something. What are we good at? And one of us said, we are good at this. So he said, what do we do with it? And the idea of creating a supercomputer came up. Parallel processing based architecture, supercomputer. And Dr. Vijay Bhatkar was chosen to lead that. And CDAC, Center for Development of Advanced Computation, was created. $10 million in 3 years. You know, just 1 gigaflops, that's all. At that time, for doing that. And he delivered it in less than $10 million and less than 3 years. Normally in government doesn't happen. You are never ahead of schedule, you are behind schedule. That was the cost of doing it. Things were absolutely denied. And today you can see what we have. Journals used to come by sea mail, by the way. 4 months it would take. So we were out of date even before we started. If you read what has happened in the rest of the world, today, what is the situation? Thanks to the evolution of e-journals, they are instantly available to you. Previously, a Harvard fellow would see it 4 months ahead of you. Today, because sun still rises in the east, we wake up before them, and 10 hours before he wakes up, we see that. That is the change that has taken place. So the conditions that prevailed at the time we started research at that time were so pathetic. That is not the case. You can see that. Industrial enterprises at that time, import substitution was the buzzword, by the way. Reverse engineering, copying. And from that, now there is a new dream that we are not just interested in creating products that are first to India, first to the world. Previously, we were very happy, first to Gurgaon, first to Delhi, first to Uttar Pradesh, first to India. No, not anymore. How do we sort of create something which is first to the world? You saw with great pride what happened to the Mars orbiter mission recently, right? We became the first ever nation to get it right the first time. Right? And it's a tremendous achievement which has been applauded all over the world, and it's the most intricate of precision engineering that you can ever imagine, as you can quite clearly see. We have sort of managed to do that. Our own engineers from here have been able to demonstrate that. So there is now this new desire to be not just a follower but a leader in innovation, for example. And I think that augurs very well. There are 2 or 3 points about innovation that I want to emphasize. I think the first point is that in order to be innovative, what we have to say is that I'm going to do things differently to make a difference. It's not about repeating the same thing over and over again. Innovation is again a successful exploitation of a new idea. What does it mean? New idea means it could be new to India, new to the world, doesn't matter, but new. Exploitation is what? It's actual use. It is not just idea in action, idea in practice. And what does successful mean? Successful has 3 ingredients, by the way. What are those? First is speed. You have to do it with speed, ahead of your competition. Okay? Otherwise, you will take you over. Second is scale. You have to reach large scale. We are a 1.25 billion country. And third, sustainability. Speed, scale, and sustainability. This is what we need to actually focus on. That is one aspect. Secondly, how do you build that capacity to innovate? I can't pick up a 30-year-old man and say, hey, from tomorrow 7 o'clock you will become innovative. You can't. It must be brought up. I mean, that innovation instinct and power must be built up right from the time you are a child. Okay? And that is where I think our educational system falters. There's a huge emphasis on rote learning. There's a huge emphasis not on learning by doing, so as to say, memorizing the facts and so on and so forth. There's a huge emphasis on playing safe, for example, not taking risks. And I think that has to undergo a rapid change, not only in primary education, secondary education, also in higher education. That's what we are discussing on the way when we talked about innovation in education. I spent, as I said, 1 month in Harvard University as a visiting professor, and I spent 1 month in Monash University in Australia as a visiting professor. This is my 8th consecutive year. And I teach a course on innovation. It's interesting. I begin my course on innovation for undergraduates, by the way. I also give courses on postgraduates. By doing something simple. You know what is that? I take a glass of water, which is half filled. Because the Indian education system is built on single correct answer. You don't do that and you get 0. Right? So I want to show that the word should be other way around. So what I do is that I take that glass of water and start asking, I want to take that water out. What are the different ways by which I can get the water out? Let us try that experiment here. I have a glass of water here, imagine, and I want to take that water out. Any one of you, what is the way of taking it out? The answers must come very rapidly, by the way. It's such an intelligent class. Come, anyone?
Just pour it out.
By using the pipe.
Pipe, okay. So, suction. Fine, that is one way. Second,
Throw it away.
pouring it down physically. Third, break the glass. Destructive innovation. Fine, but the correct answer. Third. Fourth, yeah, that is physical. Yeah. Next, evaporate, boiling. Okay. So 5 answers came within no time. And if I went on, I'm sure I will get another 4, 5, and so on. My normal experience of teaching these classes is around 9, 10, 11, it stops. And I show them, by the way, 46 ways of doing it, including using shock waves, acoustics, and a whole range of things. What is the point I'm trying to make? That as an engineer, you're a solver of a problem. Okay? You cannot become a part of the problem, you have to become a part of the solution. And there are multiple solutions. And our educational systems have to be so innovative that they must teach you as to how to sort of get alternative solutions which are best suited to those conditions. And that's the essence of innovation. As you must have seen, Indian government, our own Prime Minister from Red Fort announced this Swachh Bharat, right? And there is a committee now under my chairmanship, a 19-member committee to look at Swachh Bharat from technology perspective. Drinking water, sanitation, what are the technologies which are affordable, sustainable, scalable, rapidly deployable, etc. So we just began our work. Now one of the things that we are looking at is not only just incremental innovation, but disruptive innovation, where there will be game change. What is incremental? Less water urine. What is disruptive? Waterless urine. That means you don't use water at all. You get my point? You can just imagine in villages where there is no water. How do you talk about sanitation? How do you talk about getting rid of open defecation? That's our challenge, isn't it? So we are looking at all technologies, and you are very welcome, by the way. I will leave you with my email ID later on. Any one of you has any fantastic idea, please just email to me. We are trying to galvanize the entire nation into thinking in terms of achieving that, because we require innovation there, doing things which have not been done before. Now, you would say, oh my goodness, waterless toilets are there already. I just came by flight and I used a waterless toilet, isn't it? Suction is used. Basically, no water. But is it affordable? It is not. And therefore, India's big challenge is going to be, in terms of innovation, creating affordable excellence. Now you will say, oh come on, this is a contradiction. What is affordable can't be excellent. What is excellent cannot be affordable. How can you talk about affordable excellence? But you will see that that is what is going to be the winner finally. I want to emphasize on that, and this is in line with one of the discussions that we had in the car about how do we distinguish this university, in terms of what does it mean, the emphasis on practical this thing, I think is fantastic, because we don't just need theories, we need people who actually do things, not just have ideas but put ideas in action, and I think from that perspective it's very good. But within that space, affordable excellence is going to be, I believe, the key. Now you say, come on, it doesn't seem right actually. Well, I'll give you an example. On the other day, I finished a board meeting in Bombay and I was moving towards Pune. And on the way I saw my car stopped at the traffic light and there were two people standing to cross the street. One was a very rich lady, with goggle and lipstick and purse and hairdo and dress and so on. And next to her was a girl from the slum, 5 years, 6 years, 7-year-old, tattered clothes. Income inequality, huge. Nothing common between them. But still access equality. Both of them were on their mobiles. How did it happen? Yeah, mobile is a powerful voice communication device, excellence, but yet affordable, otherwise that girl would not have had it. How did that happen? Now you will find it happened because of 3 innovations. The first was a public policy innovation. By whom? By the government of India. You will remember that they decided that no more landlines, no more copper lines, we'll take a step jump and go for voice over internet, voice over mobile. They created BSNL, group deregulation, and lots of innovation. All right, that happened. But supposing the handsets were $250, would that girl afford it? No. They were brought down to $25. Who brought them down? Indian companies? No. They were Ericsson's of this world, Nokia's of this world. Now, supposing that handset was $25, but still the phone calls were 10 cents per minute. Imagine our father's income would be $2 per day. $2 is how many cents? 200 cents. 10 cents per minute, 20-minute call, days earning call. Would she have afforded it? No. Then how were they brought down to a fraction of a cent per minute? That was business model innovation. And who did that? They were the Indian companies. You remember Dhirubhai Ambani saying phone call at the cost of a postcard? And I remember talking to Mukesh Ambani, I'm on their board and has been an old friend. How they did it, actually. They said, well, we said to ourselves, when Papa gave us this challenge, we said to ourselves, we don't know telecom, but we know refining. So we use the refining model for telecom. And what was the refining model? Not cost per subscriber, but cost per airline. Airline is the volume of traffic of voice per unit time. And they do a parallel from barrels per day, by the way, that they use from refining. And so on. And they built a new business model altogether, and then Airtel, of course, took it forward. And those of you who are interested in studying more about it, there's a paper by me and C.K. Prahlad. You know, he's no more. He was one of the greatest thought leaders in Harvard Business Review, 2010, July, August. It is called Innovation's Holy Grail. Okay? That particular paper is now ranked among the top 10 must-read paper, by the way, in innovation. And there we have described how this innovation was done. So, coming back, you could provide that affordable excellence, where that girl from the slum could afford a mobile just as that rich woman could, because of three innovations, sets of innovations combined together. Public policy innovation, technological innovation, and business model innovation, and a combination of them. I think that is what India needs to sort of look at. The important point I want to make, and I want to emphasize, you know, there is this word jugaad that is making rounds everywhere. I hate the word jugaad. I've said this on public forum. Because jugaad is giving bad name to India. Jugaad means getting it done somehow, finding a way, bypassing, and so on. That characterizes India outside. I don't like that image. That's not my India, or India of my dreams. Because jugaad is getting less for less, for lesser people. It can't be that. It has to be getting more from less, for more people. And again, it is possible if you commit yourself to thinking like this. And therefore the projects that our undergraduate students do must build in this particular element on how can you build affordable excellence, let us say, by innovating at the highest possible level, using cutting-edge technology, not doing jugaad, right? And making it world-class. How do you do that? I'll give you an example. You were kind enough to mention about Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. I'll tell you how I set it up. My mother always used to say, if you are old, there is a problem. If you are poor, there is a problem. But if you are old and poor, there is a huge problem. And if you are old, poor, and a woman, only God save you. So therefore, do something about it. So I created this. It's a small award, 1 lakh per year. This is the 4th year, by the way. And I remember I created that award for not the best practice, but for the next practice. I'm not a great believer in best practice, by the way. Best practice means you are copying somebody's best practice. Sorry. We have to create our next practice. So this award is for the next practice. Year before last, that award was won by a 28-year-old young man was like you, coming up from the same educational system. His name is Mishkin Ingawa. What did he do? He was bothered by the fact, he said, I understand why people die of cancer. Why do they die of anemia? Nobody should die of anemia. He went into villages and found something which was very disturbing. The women there were reluctant to give their blood because they thought they were giving something precious. So he said, all right, can I detect their hemoglobin levels without taking their blood? Then he Googled and found that nobody in the world had done it. He said, great, I'll do it. See, this is the power of the young. There is a nice definition of an innovator. Innovator is one who does not know it cannot be done. Oldies like me always think that it cannot be done. Not young people, not you. Nothing is impossible for you. So you say, I will do it. So nothing was impossible for Mishkin. He said, I will do it. And then he said, why does a hemoglobin test, why should it cost 100, 200 rupees? Why can't I do it in 10 rupees? Affordable. That also nobody had done, ever. And you know something, what he did? He used cutting edge technology, photoplethysmography, photospectrometry, very innovative software for photon scattering, for measuring photon scattering and so on. Created a combination of these and created what is called the touch HB. I still remember when he was given the award. The awards were given by Narayan Murthy's of this world and so on. And that year the award was given by Anu Aga, who is one of the members of Rajya Sabha. As you know, she is very well known for philanthropy and all. So I remember he's coming to the dais, bringing that touch HB. Before receiving the award, he put it around her finger and said, around 12.5, take care. You can quite clearly see this revolution means what? It means we can do total scanning of hemoglobin of all rural women without any difficulty, so cheaply. It means this innovation can be used across the world because this has not been done sort of before and so on. And who did it? It's a 28-year-old kid from India. But why he was able to do it? Because there was something special in it. What was that? You know, all of us have passion in the belly to do something. All of us have innovation to do something differently. But all of us must have compassion in the heart. It is the innovation, compassion, and passion that make the difference. I think it is extremely important that if we develop this sense of compassion, you know, for the have-nots, for the resource poor, then we will create innovations which will belong to that category of affordable excellence. And mind you, excellence will give you global competitiveness and affordability will give you equity in the society. Alright? And the combination of the two will make India a leading nation. So, when I am saying reinvent India as an innovation nation, and we are always an innovation nation. You know, I mean, we talk about digital India, I mean, digital world today. Digital world, we say because of binary digits, 0 and 1, and was the discoverer of 0, and India. So, digital world is basically the fundamentals are based on what sort of India discovered. So, we were that innovation nation where we thought ahead of the rest of the world and gave the leadership is something that we must build. The last point of my speech, because I'm approaching 12 as I realize I have to be on the other side of Delhi 2 hours from now. There is a particular meeting I have to chair, so I will close now by saying that, two things. One, again, is an anecdote which I would like you to learn from. Professor Sena Rao, who became Bharat Ratna recently, he has been my guru, mentor, and so on. It's very interesting. He taught me something, and I will share it with you. When I became Fellow of Royal Society, like you said, only the third Indian engineer in last century, in 350 years, as a matter of fact. I was very happy. I went to him and I said, I became FRS. I thought, he'll be happy. You know what was his response? Not bad. So I was disappointed. I came home. Then I became US National Academy of Science, 1870 onwards. Very few fellows have become, and first engineering scientist, by the way. So I thought he'll be happy. I went to him. Same thing. I told you about the American Academy of Arts, Arts and Science. Still I went to him. I thought now he'll be happy. Then I got upset. I said, what do I have to do now to impress you? And you know what he said is very significant. He said, my formal name is Mashelkar, but people who are close to me call me Ramesh. By the way. You will see both names if you go to the website. So he said, Ramesh, I hope you understand that you are climbing a ladder of excellence. And ladder of excellence is limitless. So your climb on limitless ladder of excellence must continue. I think there is a big lesson here for all of you. That is, there are no limits to human endurance. There is no limit to human achievement. There is no limit to human imagination, accepting the limits that you will put on yourself. And I think if each one of us realizes that, then the potential in 1.25 billion Indians will be realized. And then India will be able to find its rightful place. And that's why I always say that the I in India must not stand for inhibition. I in India must not stand for imitation. I in India, I in industry, I in every IIT, I in every institution, including this one, I in every individual India must stand for innovation. Right? And that innovative India is the one which will reinvent itself to become a leader amongst the innovation nations of the world. And my young friends, I am sure, I will not be there 20 years down the line, but you would have done it and done us proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mashelkar. I'll invite Mr. Akshay Munjal, President of BMU, to give a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. It's my honor and privilege to have Dr. Mashelkar with us. We couldn't have found a more appropriate person to start the BMU Leadership Series. If you Google Dr. Mashelkar and you read about him online, truly a very inspiring story. He briefly touched upon some of the challenges he faced growing up and how he succeeded besides the challenges. That's something which all of us can take away. Given Dr. Mashelkar's background and given what he's achieved, is truly fantastic. Two things I like to promise Dr. Mashelkar, that A, as a university, we have a strong focus on practical hands-on learning, that we will continue focusing on learning by doing. And I would like to invite Dr. Mashelkar, please do come with us more often. Do, as your calendar permits, please also have your class in innovation here. It will be our honor, whatever time suits you. We would want, the story with the class. We would want our students to be exposed to all that. Second thing, Dr. Mashelkar, I like to assure you is, we are encouraging all our students and faculty, please look at applied research. The example you gave about Swachh Bharat, it will be our honor as a university if you are able to at least put some ideas some commendable ideas, and I would like our faculty to volunteer, take the lead. Please do mentor the students. Swachh Bharat is a very important initiative which our Prime Minister has launched. We should all contribute in whatever way we can, starting from keeping the university clean and then moving ahead. How do we look at ideas which can help the country overall? I'd like to say thank you so much, Dr. Mashelkar, for taking the time out, for being able to come here. Today, we couldn't have had a better speaker. We've been very kind with the weather. We couldn't have had a better location. This is the first event actually we're doing here in the Gateway Courtyard since the university is opened. And we are truly honored, sir, by having you here. Can I request Dr. Panda to say a few words also?
Thank you, Mr. Akshay Munja. Thank you, sir, for coming to our university and sharing your thoughts. I spent good amount of time with Professor C.K. Prahlad, and he often refers about the kind of grassroots work which has been done. When the students from University of Michigan visit Mumbai, they get a chance to talk to you and do that exercise. I also read an interesting book called The Power of Unreasonable People. So the speech which Mr. Mashelkar has given, a lot of links are there which you can find out how these unreasonable people have gone and created innovations at the grassroots level. At least after these presentations, I think the idea that you get here is innovation, compassion and passion. If you can integrate all three of them, you will have a path of excellence. Thank you, sir, for giving this idea to us.
I promise I'll come again, okay? But I keep all my promises, by the way, so be sure that. But I made a promise. You remember during the lecture that I will do something. You remember any one of you what promise I made? I did. So I'll keep that promise now. It is very simple. RAM, RAM, at the rate of NCL. NCL is National Chemical Laboratory. NCL. Dot RES. RES stands for research. .in. I. Okay? Very simple. R.A. Mashelkar working in NCL doing research in India. RAF at ncl.res.in. So please drop me your ideas about Swachh Bharat. Okay? We are trying to galvanize entire India, particularly the young people in India, because we require some breakthroughs for achieving something which we have not been able to do for centuries, as a matter of fact. So we require really fresh thinking, out of the box ideas, and they can come only from you. Thank you very much.
Last but not least, Mayank, where are you? Mayank. In the spirit of innovation, we will not honor Dr. Mashelkar with the standard gift. Here is a special gift that Mayank has created.